Hey man, politician or journalist. Ah my God, you know this song is so beautiful. This song has a very good message, a message of peace, and looking at the two distinguished personalities, we are so proud to play this song for their appearance this afternoon.
And,
so, Madeline,
Melvin,
so let's try to welcome our guests.
Yes, before we welcome our guests, interestingly, I have been blessed, very much blessed, and to host the both of them at different time. The Director General, it was one time we had a wonderful time on Truth FM, and today with Chris, the CEO at Cool FM. I mean, I know how they propound it, so I have a lot of respect for them, and I know we're going to have a wonderful time, but they should know that we are in the driver's seat, and we're going to control this conversation.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's welcome Eugene Lamy Fangon. Is that the real pronunciation of your name, sir?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Fangon, just like Fambule or Famboya. It's F-A-H-N.
Okay.
You know, Fanboy. It's F-A-H-N. Fambidel. F-A-H-N. But people say Fagon.
Yeah.
It's Fangon.
Okay.
All right. Good having you.
And by the way, I'm a day man from Blueband.
You can speak your dialect?
That's all. I'm on you.
Who married you?
Oh, not that you. Wow.
All right, good to have you, the DG of the LBS. All right, sir, Christopher.
You missed the last one.
Ananuga.
What?
Ananuga.
Onanunga.
No, I'm going to play some fun today.
Christopher is Onanunga.
You know I'm more Obi.
Welcome, sir.
Thank
How you doing?
Thank you.
Good. We get it straight to the point. How is Liberia? Any of you could start.
Perfect. Liberia is healthy.
Perfection matters. Just explain to the people what makes Liberia perfect.
The fact that we sit in this studio today and we can begin to have conversation on issues that bother us on the state, and you are not sweating. You can speak English. It means that between 2003 and now you went to school and graduated. It means that we're progressing. That she can sit over there and smile and look at two adults who had experiences beyond time. And we're saying to ourselves in government that the focus is the people. And we can come here where Fangon and myself used to be at opposite point of view. Can sit here and rally for one cause, and the cause is purely the people. You can ask for nothing more than the fact that we can have our differences, because people have two qualities. We have ideologies, and ideologies change with time and events. We also have principles, but principles do not change. It is based on principles that our fundamental characters are built. It is based on principles that the constitutions of a country is made. So basically that we're sitting here with all those encompassing our unity and purpose, it means we define our identity as Liberians. And as Liberia, we're unique.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
We can also get a word from Vicky Fangon on this.
I think I'll just add up to what he just said, but let me start by greeting the peace-loving people of this country. And whenever I use such, I don't use it lightly, because we are at the front of the chain when it comes to democracy at this point. Yesterday when the president landed and they asked him what he felt about the Nimba elections, he says, I'm thankful. He said, I'm thankful to God again. We've had another election and it's peaceful and everyone is calm, waiting for the results. So in Africa, we can now boast of the fact that we can have our differences of opinions, differences of parties, differences of political ideologies and thought processes on how to govern the policies and what have you. But there's one thing we as Liberians can agree upon, And that is, Liberia remains the country that we all love and cherish, and that we are resolved after the death of over 250,000 people. And if you like, for a better choice of words, you can say 250,000 people. We are resolved not to shed blood again, and to resolve our differences either through the legal processes or by way of our traditional and cultural values, or, if you like, by way of our social gatherings. So today, one can say that as Liberians, we're proud of the slow, steady progress we're making towards not only democracy, but ensuring that our country is counted amongst the Committee of Nations.
Okay, so let me use this opportunity to say thanks so kindly to you. We've been expecting you on the national debate, previously the Bumble Show. Want to say thanks for giving me the opportunity as the Director General of this great institution for adding me to the team, and I'm really humble. And on behalf of my family, we want to say thanks a lot. I've been here for March and April. We're in April, my second month. Thank you so kindly.
You're very welcome. We'll do one news story for you for that.
Oh, for a news story. But Melvin, get the conversation.
So, we will begin with the Director General. We've been envisaging a country of peace and law, and after the 14 years of political turmoil, we got out a very good part, making sure that we do all of the best things to develop our country, and all of us started regrouping from different sectors to make sure that we become one of the best countries in this region. We saw a lot of disunity, a lot of impasse. And
you have to speak a little bit louder for us in the studio, because our friends are watching too.
And we saw a lot of impasse.
There you go.
Yeah. You go so Doyce at the Capitol building among, the lawmakers, 73 members of the House of Representatives, prior to the passing of Madison Guyon in Grand Gide. We ended up in disunity at the Capitol building. Yesterday was the final ruling from the Supreme Court. Where do we stand as a country?
Well, I don't think, in my opinion, that yesterday was the final ruling.
You don't think? Why?
Because rulings can be recalled. You know that, right? Rulings can be revisited, and by 20 years from now, some kind of Sasele group will come up and say, you know what, their ruling was not right. Take it out, and they'll take it out. So, but we say in this particular case, and for now, the Supreme Court, in my opinion, and what I think they did, was try to offer some clarity as prayed for by the petitioner, Funati Kofa, who wanted...
Representative Funati Kofa's chief.
I'm coming.
I think we got to give it something native.
No. You get to ask the question. I get to answer. You give your opinion, and the Liberian people enjoy it. Here is, he prayed for a bill of information.
Yes, sir.
It's almost like saying that thing you said, the other post saying this, the other post saying that. Can you tell me exactly what you actually said? And then the Supreme Court goes back and says, okay, we'll hear your petition and we'll send for the respondents. And so yesterday what you saw, and let me quote it before my colleagues come in. The ruling is right here, so I'm not going to read anything
I know
outside.
you're always following the document.
You know I'll bring my paper, because I don't want any debate. So they say, wherefore,
Debate, so we'll have to,
that's the national debate.
Yeah.
Wherefore, and in view of the foregoing, meaning having said some things which we will come to, I don't want to hijack that, the amended bill of information is granted for the reasons stated in the opinion of this judgment, and, quote, the majority block respondents, in parentheses, is hereby mandated to operate in accordance with the Supreme Court interpretation of Article 33 and 49 of the Constitution as contained in the court's opinion and judgment December 6, 2024, and further clarified in the opinion judgment. I'll stop there and say that, you know, when I listen to one branch of government mandating the other branch of government, wherein we understand that the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of justice, then you have to ask yourself whether or not those people will execute the mandate of the court, considering the doctrine of the separation of powers.
What is that branch of government?
The legislature.
Okay.
And I'm speaking in context of the legislature, right? Not just petitioner or respondent.
Yes, sir.
Now, before my colleague comes in, here is the ruling that everybody must be cognizant of, not just look at the mandate. They said that the conclusion, I'm quoting, quote, that the conclusion of the Supreme Court opinion and judgment of December 6, 2024, is that any sitting, qualifying now, not just one sitting, that sitting, or the sitting where the speaker was removed, no. Any sitting or action by the majority bloc, respondents in parentheses, to the exclusion of Speaker J. Funati Kofa, the duly elected presiding officer of the House of Representatives, while he is present and available to preside, is unconstitutional and without the pale of the law.
Is that the deputy speaker?
There's an action there. Is present, not was. Is present. It's somehow tricky. So then, if you use two words there, present, and as it's stated, available, I'm quoting those two words. The question then becomes, was he present and available when the then deputy speaker acted? And was the deputy speaker in error? Was he justified in his action to act in the absence of the speaker? That is where I say, on the 14th of October, the speaker, the then speaker at the time, I'm using the then speaker trying to make the story, not trying to disregard the Supreme Court acknowledgement of him now. We have to give the story as the story was. The then speaker joined the president of the Republic of Liberia in Italy on an FAO program entitled Piano Matteo, where it had to do with food security. And that was on a Monday. On Tuesday, that group met. So was the then speaker present? I say no, he was not. He was not present. And if you're not present, you're not available. And if you're not available, you're not present. Right? Was he present? I say no. And then what happened after that is the reason why we're in this studio. And so the ruling, the conclusion of the Supreme Court is still unclear to me, because the word any sitting was used. Any. So at that point, was it legal or illegal what they did? I will answer that subsequently and provide evidence with the rules.
I will give chance.
But DG will ask that you just go on before we can come to Chief Chris. Just come up and tell us, yeah.
So then, if that be the
whether
case,
it was legal or not.
Okay, in my opinion, it was very legal. And I don't want to say it was legal. I must reference you to where it says it is legal. The first thing we must establish, the legislature have rules. Are those rules legal? Are they laws? While Article 2 may be argued that any law found to be inconsistent with the Constitution, so the rules of the House of Representatives, are they laws? Yes, they're laws. Are they legal? Yes, they're legal. So let's go back to the rules. You see here, Rule 7. Powers and duties of the speaker, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, Rules 8. Me, I'll show my team. Rule 8, right? Powers and duties of the deputy speaker. So we go. It says here 8.1. In the absence of the speaker, the deputy speaker of the Honorable House of Representatives shall preside over the sitting of the august body and shall exercise all rights and powers assigned to the speaker. The speaker was in room. And the deputy speaker, Thomas Fowler, presided. I'm quoting the rules. I read the rules to you. And it was at that setting that whether legal or illegal, the speaker was removed. According to them, not me and you, Brother Allah.
Case closed.
According to them, it was at that setting that the speaker was removed. So, we are quoting the rule here. Thomas Fowler presided, and Honorable Fonati Kofa was removed. And then he held what we call the 4G1 election.
You want to say 5?
5G. 5G that brought Richard Kuhn to the speakership. So here is the question from the ruling that maybe when my colleague comes in, he can address.
I'm quite concerned about the legislative workings of lawmakers. Leaving somebody abroad and finding something in their A performance and whatever is something that we Liberians take into consideration.
Let's speak. Chris, take
First of all, let me say this to you.
Yes, sir.
I'm not one to do radio every day. So I must believe in the content, purpose, message to do this. And it's going to be laid out for you step by step why it's possible that the Supreme Court erred, or why I say the Supreme Court may end up recalling her judgment, or why the Supreme Court may realize that when she says she wants to supervise her control of Article 2 of the Constitution, there may be situations that she may have to rethink her actions. I will flow in this direction. 1. Nobody plans anything because of an end without a purpose. Speaker is speaker. Deputy speaker is deputy speaker. But don't forget, they are, everyone in the house is equal and give you the position to lead. The Supreme Court's fundamental ruling is that the speaker, once you are a speaker of the house, you cannot be outridden, you cannot be pushed aside for deputies or other people to preside. That anything done when the speaker is in the country and has the capacity to lead and is not given the chance to lead is illegal. Now, you must also understand, they're also relying on the fact that the first time they say ultra vara, return to status quo. That is ruling 1. 1 Supreme Court, 2 rulings. Question and answers. What is the major role of the Supreme Court of any country? Is to stabilize the state. So now let's go back to classroom. It's quite clear.
You teach the lawyers now?
Including the lawyers.
Supreme Court? Now
I can teach the Supreme Court. I can teach Liberian people. Maybe the Supreme Court will learn something. And I'll say this to you. The speaker was not in the country when these actions began. The House of Representatives is on the people's ground. there's the people's chambers, where the House of Representative members sit to carry out the people's work. And in the absence of the speaker, the deputy speakers presides. The deputy speaker went to work along with every other member of the House of Representatives who saw a reason to go to work. And the doors were locked. He requested the door open.
Yep.
Someone who is a member of the House of Representatives, who should be civil on a junior level. As you know, the House is called the junior house, while the Senate is called the House of what? Elders. Someone who should have had common reasoning, common sense in approaching this, should have known better that when it's time for work, it's not partisan. When it's time for work, it's not self-interest. When it's time for work, it's not levity on lack of moral understanding of the law. In Melvin Cole, decided that today, you deputy speaker, you will not lead to go in that place.
You will not enter.
Only the speaker can enter. And as long as the speaker is not in this country, you deputy speaker, you can go in.
There's video to that effect.
And then he began to use words that were myopic, eccentric, dogmatic, counterproductive to both himself, the house that he represents, the people who voted him, and the country at large. Be it as it may, it's a traditional activity in many houses around the world, many parliaments around the world, where they even carry guns, stones, and sticks. That's fine. But then you minus all those negatives and you base your ruling of if he's around, he must be there. So where did that dynamic come from? Is the question we need to ask. Or did the self-styled majority black or the self-styled minority black, I'm quoting the Supreme Court Chief Justice, just begin to act? Because it was in denial of them using their official chambers that they went somewhere else. Because they wanted to continue the people's work. The people's work. Now, let's take a drift back and breathe. Even though they moved into another position within the Capitol building to carry out the function, they did not only elect new leadership, they requested, before anything else of electing a new leadership, that the speaker come and defend allegations
made against him.
At that time, he was in the country.
But then just returned from Italy.
Yes.
Whether just or not just, he was in the country. And guess what? That's the fundamental part of our living. There is no ignorance to the law. So you commit a sin, you bear the consequences, isn't it?
Right.
The second portion of it is that we survive in dignity and raise our heads to walk if our character represents the image for which we survive on. A man without character have no life. So I want to bono it like this for you.
So who has no character?
No, I didn't mention. No.
A man with character has no life.
Yes. So when you see that your character is being meddled with, you must take a stand. I have passed through that in Liberia with presidents and with individuals. I didn't give space because without character, you are empty. We can't keep fighting because we have friends across the aisle. We can't keep fighting. But beyond all this, let me say this to you. The government that I represent, the government that we represent, has done one thing first, saying the decision and opinion of the court is welcomed. And that, no, sorry, please, I beg you. And that the process to healing should begin properly. That the parties should come to the table and have a conversation. Because whether we like it or not, it's a political situation.
Yeah, it's a political will.
That has to take, political situation that has to take place between the mighty and the mightiest, between the mightiest and the mightiest. But the government of President Joseph Newman Boyka has now said categorically, like people are saying in the newspapers, that have accepted, no, it's not our business. It's an equal arm of government. It's two arms of government having some issues. It's the executive's responsibility to begin to find a way to allow both parties to have a bridge. And that role is what we're playing. But in playing that role, we must also state the categorical truth as to what's happening, what yesterday was happening now, and what should happen in the future. And that is, we must try and we must be clear that our purpose of trying to move forward is to bring the parties together, make sure that leadership is carried out, so the people's work is done. But it cannot be done in chaos.
DG Falcon, I know he can speak to that.
But is it possible to bring these parties together, these two blocks?
Oh yes.
No, nothing is impossible.
Guess what about this? Let me shout them about this.
Yeah.
No, hold on, please.
Yes,
Can you tell me, why should the teeth and the tongue fight?
And they still remain the simplest.
And they still remain the same.
There were too many attempts to
hold on.
reconcile the two groups.
Maybe the food was not sweet.
Okay, why do you think they make it sweet?
Because the truth of the matter, when we finish fighting war and killing many people, they will not come to the table for peace.
We do have peace talk.
Why is it that we cannot be honest and drop our ego and arrogance unless there are selfish interests involved?
From the both parties or from one end?
I am not a magician, not a miracle man. And I won't say that God said to me.
But I mean, you've been around for some time. You know exactly.
No matter how much experience you have, you must deal with situations case by case. And in this case, the only situation we stand to fight for is that the people's work should be done, and it must be done well. Lastly, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, no one have blundered on our behalf as Liberians more the Supreme Court in this judgment. It could have come at the beginning of December.
Do you take that decision as a blunder?
Hello. When it comes to my life, I believe the Supreme Court should have done this job long ago. If this was the position, then we should have been far. But there's a situation where the Supreme Court waited till 6 months later and is making a decision.
It burned the Capitol building, everything.
Arson took place. Looting took place. Injuries took place. Insults are passed about. Senate have recognized one leadership. They've discussed our budget. We are living on the budget that they say is from a house. A leadership that is wrong. They've approved a budget for NIMBA that they say is wrong. The same Supreme Court has expended the monies that this particular legislature under this leadership approved. Who then is gullible? Who then is at fault? Who is making this mistake? Who is causing chaos when this particular arm of government should be the arm to stabilize? Are there anyone to come and say something contrary to say that this particular ruling could not have led to chaos if the government of the day led by President Joseph Newman Boyka was not matured?
Okay, but I want to read few lines before we go to the DJ, right?
Go.
Read few lines from the a statement from the speaker.
The man is on 6 cylinder. 6.
So how many lanes you on?
No, I'll come to that year. But that man just opened up 6 cylinder on the Buchanan Highway.
Wow. Oh, okay. So the leadership of the House of Rep are acting by and between me, the undersigned Honorable Rachel Quorum, Speaker of the House of Representatives, rejects in the strongest term the judgment of the Supreme Court that former Speaker Kofa continues to be Speaker of the House, even though he was removed from the office by a resolution signed by a 50 members of the House of Rep in the full compliance of Article 49 of the Liberian Constitution. Let me stop right there because it's a very long reading. So, DG, what is your perspective concerning this this statement rejecting the court's ruling? Yes, was it actually necessary observing the time just when the ruling came out yesterday?
I think they have the right to respond. I think the first person to respond to the ruling was Funati Kofa, you will agree, in a video message.
Yes, of course.
And they were the respondents, so it's their right to respond. But I read when I started my conversation or discussion in this room, I used the word mandated. And it's born out of Article 3 of the Constitution here. For me, I always try to hold my pieces of paper because I don't let for nobody to argue. There's a part in Article 3 that says, no person, I'm quoting, holding office in one of these branches, meaning judiciary, legislative, or the executive, shall hold office in or exercise any of the powers assigned to either of the other two branches except as otherwise provided in this Constitution. That means this Constitution shall say you can do this and you can do that, right? Now let me say this to Liberians listening to me. If you read your statement as I suppose you read right, they said they had 50 signatures, right?
Yes, sir.
How many signatures do you need to remove a speaker? 49.
49.
That should have constituted part of the Supreme Court's investigation in the first case to know whether or not they had the 50 signatures and they were legit. Why do I say so? It's because I have proven to you beyond all reasonable doubt, the two of you, that the rules of the House of Representatives are laws, right? You can't dispute that. I also proved to you that the laws say in the absence of the speaker, the deputy speaker shall carry out all of the functions assigned to the what? Speaker. Was the speaker present? No. Where was he? He was in room. And as my colleague said here, when the guys went to enter the chamber, there is video and audio of evidence to that effect. Representative Marvin Cole locked the door and denied them entry. And that was on a normal working day. It didn't matter who was around. Everybody was supposed to enter that chamber. And then if you realize that the deputy speaker won't do something, then you can start something. But they had already separated themselves. And then they locked the door. Okay? So, that statement that was made says, look, we reject the ruling. It is their right. They are in a separate branch of government. And in keeping with the separation of powers, they are exercising their power. So here is the real question. My colleague laid it out correctly. Where was Funati Kofa on the day the action was taken? He was in room. Who was supposed to deputize for him? The deputy speaker. Did he carry out that function? Yes. Was he denied entry? Of course he was. We know that to be a fact. Should the speaker be present at all times? Can he? No. Was he present? No. Should he be the reason why our country should be stalled? No. Because even the Supreme Court alluded to that. I will show you proof. So again, they are saying that you cannot decide who our speaker should be. That's what you're hearing from that statement. Okay. And you will not decide how we run our affairs in this branch of government.
Legislature.
Thank you. And you will not be the one to give us instructions here. Because if you do, and we execute it, there will not be a balance of power. Tomorrow, if we say we want to impeach you, you will rule and say no. Therefore, the balance of power must be maintained. We choose and we do what we want to do here, and we are governed by our own rules, which are laws. And until you can squash those laws, then we have to go by the law. And the law said in Article...
yeah, I didn't go to school.
Yeah.
I want you to
but then you wanted to teach.
Yeah, that way. I want you to read this part for me so I can interpret something for you.
Okay.
The part, Article 2.
Yes,
the
Article
one that
2
is the strong one.
Yeah, the whole thing?
That read just...
The strong one.
Well, you did go to school. Then how you understand?
That's why he asked me to read it.
Please,
all right, read it in civil English.
Okay. It says, and I quote, Any laws, he said I should start. Any laws, treaties, statutes, decrees, customs, and regulations found to be inconsistent with it, meaning the Constitution, shall to the extent of the inconsistency be void and of no legal effect. The Supreme Court, pursuant to its power of judicial review, is empowered to declare any inconsistent law unconstitutional. Bahu!
That's the power the Constitution has. Right?
I like that.
So it tells you
That the Supreme Court.
the Holy Spirit.
Oh, the Holy Spirit coming in your head.
Yes.
I want to tell you something.
Yeah, Todd.
Imagine the power of the Supreme Court. Purely empowered by the Constitution. Any law
Any law, any
contrary to the Constitution is what?
unconstitutional.
The Supreme Court can what?
Declare it
Bang!
unconstitutional. Yes, correct. Declare it unconstitutional.
So which one are you referring to?
Wait, I come in. But apart from the Constitution, the Supreme Court has her rules.
Yes.
And she has her laid down laws of operation.
Yep.
The junior justice that will just be appointed today is a junior justice. Can never be a senior justice. 1. 2. The law that makes a chief justice the superior one to be able to assign car funding to each of the judges is the right of the chief justice. But let's go to the house. There are laid down rules and regulations upon which the house operates functionally every day. From the 1st to the 57th, those laws have been there unchanging. Are those part of the laws that are contrary to the Constitution that the Supreme Court is talking about today? The answer cannot be true. So when we're looking at the fact that, the Constitution says in Article 2, the Supreme Court can claim, that's not true. That's not true. And fortunately for our laws, we are all allowed to defend ourselves even in court if we cannot afford a lawyer. And no lawyer can come contrary to argue this with me, either de facto or de jure, permanent agreement or non-permanent. Because when you set on an ad hoc committee, it's different from having a permanent committee. This particular issue as to the rules and regulations of the House, I doubt if that's what the Supreme Court is talking about. Because it's been there with time immemorial. That is why, if the law says how to impeach a speaker, a chief justice, and the rules are within the legislature, the Supreme Court can go and cancel that rule because it's contrary to the Supreme Court? Or should they say now because they have rules in the Supreme Court that is not valid to the Constitution?
Do we
the
have
Constitution do you have what? The legislature should review? No. This is not the power the Supreme Court is using here. And we can see that.
Sir Onunuka,
Yes.
do we have a remedy to all of these impasse that we have?
You see all the people who are talking?
Do we have a
It's
remedy
to tell you that there's
to
remedy.
this situation? Do we have
And do we also have impeachment hanging up around?
I'm not a legislator, I'm not a politician, I'm a strategist.
No, but you've been strategizing for almost 10 minutes now.
How can I say that? I don't know what the leadership of the House of Representatives.
So let's hear the remedy.
Yeah,
The remedy is very simple. If Funati Kufa, who is an honorable man in the House, you want to say something?
Yeah, he wants to put representative.
Yeah, when you say
That's
you can't
yeah.
just
No,
call
hold
his
on,
name,
hold on. I need you to understand something
said
on
some level
I
of-
need you to understand something on radio and TV.
Okay.
I mean, a representative there too now.
Please, let us understand something on radio and TV. When even you hear on CNN, they say Donald Trump, does that take the presidency from him?
Go ahead.
Isn't that an everyday thing?
What's
When even the BBC will say Netanyahu is approving attack, and John Mayer is there making noise, and Trump is extracting and deporting, you cannot change the fact the person is who they are.
Okay.
When you say to me just now, and Chris is here, does it change the fact that I'm Ambassador Christopher Hayes Nanuga?
Yeah, I said Chris is here. Okay.
All right, what's the
go
remedy,
on.
sir?
Go
What's the
on,
remedy for this entire thing that we're talking about?
Praise the Lord.
Amen. Yes, we're having a
I like
wonderful
that.
time.
I'll tell you this. I said it a few minutes ago. Can we create more chaos when we have the opportunity to show that we have civility? No. All these that are happening, everyone have a price or a will, but you cannot see. If your colleagues say to you, my man, we'll now work with you. I don't care what you do. We'll now work with you. Look at the bigger picture, the country, the people and their workings. They have not taken you out of the House of Representatives. You are still there. Okay, guys, y'all can move on.
Because it happened before, so it can happen now. Other speakers resign.
And you can metamorphose. We're not talking about people like Edwin Melvin Snow now. He's no good. He can't metamorphose. The only thing he can metamorphose in is to plan the sabotage of the state.
What about Alex Stalin?
That's another thing that we can.
Guess what? We're talking about moral and principle when we're talking.
Yeah.
There are people who will do it with moral, and you see that they have no plan to sabotage the state. There are those who will forcibly do it because they didn't get choice, and the next thing is bitterness to sabotage the state. Those are the difference we're talking about. I'm saying to you, the future of a man who is a lawyer, a seasoned lawyer, who is a member of the House of Representatives, who is an honorable person in Fonati Kofa, the future is beyond normal. If this setback is just one setback, does it stop your retinue of successes going forward? The answer is no. Why should we hold this country to ransom? Or why do we think that, like he said, he made some good point. He said, listen, I want democracy to what? Have a hold. But democracy will only have a hold through political dispensations.
Who do you consider as the legitimate speaker in Liberia?
Tado. Por eso.
Yeah, Tado.
Por eso.
No.
Ana plebien. Ana celebrate. The man who approved my budget, that my country running on, that the Supreme Court paying salary from, that not
my election was held on. That everybody taking pay from right now.
The thing the Supreme Court has said, it has said it. Me, I'll hold the Supreme Court decision and opinion, me. But come on now. The Supreme Court that the law, that horse, that the politics. Let's look at it.
So let's come down to the DG.
Wait. Before you count on me, I will count on you.
Chief, I will choose to answer or not.
Okay. Then you can count on me. I will say, let me tell you something.
Yes, sir.
Radio is interesting. You guys know when the first ruling came about, they say ultra vast, and they said, you know, the people getting very, they typing all kind of things on the live feed. No, but let me say something to you. In the ruling of December 6th of the Supreme Court, you know, book. I want you, with all any fighting, the people in radio listening, this is the ruling. You see that part I highlight?
Yeah.
I highlighted, sorry. You say, assuming you can read from them, but you should cover the highlighted part. We'll give it to you.
I will do that.
I know, Paul, but read it.
Just the highlighted part I'm reading.
No, you can start from assuming and then cross the highlighted part small. When you reach the highlighted part, you must look at me, I will yell.
All right. Assuming that Speaker is presiding over minority members, the Constitution is devoid of the mechanism for how the minority is to compel attendance of absent members.
Okay. Now they say it is devoid of the mechanism to compare. I mean, the Constitution ain't show us how we can compel the other people to come to session. And so,
especially you can't even sit.
Yeah.
Now what I'm saying to you, you can't sit. So how will you do your job when you're in the minority to call a quorum?
and the one I come and prove to you where I say the Supreme Court confused me is the highlighted part. We have observed. That's the ruling. So me, I know, Paul, help me with it. They highlighted part. Okay, say I know, Paul, you read it one. Read it.
Give it to them.
Read it, highlighted part.
The highlighted part.
Yeah, that's the Supreme Court ruling.
So
That's the, hey, wait. That's the December 6th ruling.
it says we have observed.
Who have observed? The Supreme Court, right?
We have observed
Uh-huh.
that the legislature has promulgated no enabling statute or standing rules setting forth the process for compelling absentee members to attend
Hold on, bring out
sessions
there's something missing. Come on, bring
as
it.
envisioned.
I said something missing.
You see what I was telling you?
They say we have observed
Okay.
that the legislature has promulgated no enabling statutes or standing rules setting forth the process for compelling absentee members to attend sessions to envision under Article 33 of the Constitution. For example, there is an enabling statute for the constitutional provision on the right to appeal.
Okay.
Article 20B.
Okay. So that be that one. And you see, wait, bring my paper back. Y'all give me chance. The Supreme Court in this ruling said that to the effect, you ain't made no law or rules to tell us how to compel the other people to come to session.
That means they recognize the laws and rules that were already available.
Then they downplay.
So how?
No, they didn't downplay it. That's why I'm coming to show Chris right here. Chris, you say you not know.
I'm gonna go to school.
I want proof. Yeah, the ruling right there. So they made no laws or what? Rules. This is the rule of their house. And in the rules, it says what you can do and how you can do it.
I must start my country reading
12.1. And you must take this thing into consideration because that's how you can compel people to come to.
So before you get
No, without getting chance.
Like Chris Ria.
A quorum shall consist of a simple majority of the members of the Honorable House of Representatives. Quorum shall be necessary for the transactions of business. However, a minority may meet from day to day. Meetings at which a quorum is not present. Only a motion. Hallelujah. Only a motion to compare the attendees of absent members or to adjourn may be made.
Only a what? A motion. You can't get policemen to go arrest them. You cannot go and use a court order to force them. You cannot get sheriff to beat them to come. It says only what?
A quorum to
Only a motion
to
compel them. Only a motion. You have the English right here. Where my rules say? It says only a motion to compel.
or
And you know what they call only?
Or to adjourn.
Or to adjourn. So there are two things. You either adjourn or you what? You use a what? A motion.
The legislative motion.
Only a motion.
okay.
Only means only. You can't use security. You can't use soldier. You can't light the door and spray pepper
But
spray.
guess what? The people who made a particular rule, they were very strong. Ask me why. Because if you don't meet the quorum formation in numbers, you can't even move a motion
That's it.
to compel. You can only move a motion to adjourn.
Okay, so you are stating a very wonderful point, but how do you see our laws? Do you think we need some amendments before we can go further?
The laws of Liberia are better than the laws of the United States of America, or equal in formation, because we are a duplicant country.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So if you are tuning in, this is a national debate on 99.9 FM. Melvin Stewart host, and I'm sitting in the co-hosting as well. And we have, interestingly, we have the Director General of the Liberian Broadcasting System, should I say, Honorable Eugene Facon, And
Fangon.
And Honorable Chris.
Yeah, I left that too.
No, hold on. I'm not honorable alone.
It's ambassador.
Yes.
Ambassador. So this one is coming in from LNTV Liberia Live.
All right, so
House of Rep, the House leadership bars qualified from presiding over sessions.
today.
Yeah, just 6 minutes. The leadership of the House of Rep, led by Speaker Richard Kuhn, has firmly stated that embattled Speaker Kofa will not be permitted to preside over any sittings or meetings of the House under any circumstances.
Oh.
So you see,
I will let Chris start that one.
You see,
Because we're talking there last night.
DG Fangon and that of Christopher Hayes Onanuga. You see, the argument has resonated somehow, somewhere. Some way.
So they sent out 6 minutes ago.
Yes, sir.
You see?
People follow you too. And the president, the president Yakiva Ghana. And the president follow your argument too. And the president is a man who follows the rule of law. What we need to do now
You recommend
is
it
to
or you
recommend.
Okay.
To recommend.
That will be coming here.
To recommend.
Why was
Excuse me. Thank God I came with a cooler full of drinks and food.
Yeah.
Oh,
I will take it back just like that.
Why?
no, I need to eat.
Why
And the
she-
normal thing that counts with journalism is
I'm
called
hungry.
cadeau.
I'm hungry.
Don't ask any question now. Ask.
All right.
No, she won't come with a 6 minute thing. It's important that we.
No, but I think we
No,
read
just-
it already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I will let Chris start, and I will.
Yeah.
But they have barred the speaker from presiding
You see
over
that?
sections.
Who is barring?
I mean they bars BAR. I'm just quoting.
Yeah, that's Speaker Nangbe Kun. It's signed by him, right?
Yes, from them.
He said Kofa is banned
Are you
from.
reaching the official statement or facts? Because see, guess what? What I'm telling Eugene now, from my mouth and reasoning, is the truth.
Right.
But if I'm telling him to tell Eugene,
It's from a reliable
facts.
source. That's
So it's
LNTV.
facts.
Yeah.
it's facts.
So
If you are reading a statement that LNTV put up, and they say, and Richard Kuhn, the speaker, say, and battle speaker. But I see that statement, I'm sure he will be saying, Honorable Funati Kofa. Me, I like.
No, you mean the honorable? Everything is there. I'm just trying to, for the sake of the
No, I
conversation.
want you to, because me,
No, you're bring that thing by and read it the way they send it to her.
Okay.
But you got to tell us who sent it to you.
whether it's a statement or it's a reportage.
The people from the Capitol building already here. They want to come to their program.
They can't do that program. We don't want to get a radio station.
All right, around here, yeah.
They can't do that program. We don't want to get a station. Already they not pay for 3 years. They come in talking to them. If they send message to you, ask them, say which one of the speakers sending message.
All right, so LNTV Liberia, just in House leadership bars Kofa from presiding over sessions. The leadership of the House of Representatives, led by Speaker Honorable Richard Nambekun, has firmly stated that embattled Speaker J. Fonati Kofa will not be permitted to preside over any sittings or meetings of the House under any circumstances. So I think we'll try to connect with one of the folks there covering the lower house.
Yes,
so we can
I will
have
call
them on the
Emmanuel.
show.
Let me see
So
if I
let's
can
see-
call Emmanuel
or
to
one
hear
of
from
those
him.
from the new media. to
Is-
see
So how
whether-
does that affect the reality of
No,
what
we're just trying to because you say you need more.
Yeah, but we'll go ahead because we'll
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
LNTV is
No,
credible.
the only
It's
thing we
credible,
want.
that's why-
No, for me, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying, am I reading the story verbatim from the statement, or I'm reading it as relayed by journalists? Because then it's going to be trying to become like, okay, from what the speaker says, Jeff Fonantikofa is now going to be embattled speaker by the media.
Right.
So I'm trying to separate those two stuffs. But anyway, as it is,
Okay.
anyway as it is, it just tells you there's a problem on ground.
It confirms what we're saying.
It just tells you there's a political involvement and solution that is required.
Yep.
It also tells you that we do not even need this back and forth that we are engaging here with. what is needed to move this country forward is that people with sound mind understand that the country is bigger than the personal interest, even when democracy that we are practicing is an innuendo of politics. We must be sure that what we want to engage in is that we want lasting peace and solution. And sometimes when you walk away or say sorry to your wife, not because you are wrong, but because you want peace. So if this is going for 6 months, and it is because of the hula balloos of the speakership, Speaker Rachel Kuhn is there. I'm going to make it clear now. Another Speaker Funatukova is there. Who controls the mantle now in terms of speakership? Speaker Rachel Kuhn. No matter what the Supreme Court says, who is going to institute that decision? It's supposed to be now the executive getting involved to enforce the law. But
Chief, it's just in line with what was read today. Even DG even posted the same statement in a chat room.
Let me say this too, in line with what you just said, right?
Yeah.
If we hold true that democracy has to do with the will of the people, and there are 73 persons in the place, and out of the 73, 43 says, this is the way we want to go. It's just a majority.
And 50 signed a resolution without objection, without...
That is why I thought the Supreme Court would have, first of all, illegitimized or legitimized
No, but the
the
Supreme
50
Court,
or validated, if you like.
Let me fight small.
Yeah.
If the Supreme Court doesn't go and look for a case, somebody got to carry the case.
Somebody got to carry the case.
So maybe the people who supposed to carry the case didn't carry it, they were carrying it up.
Okay, but you see?
So who carried the case later? Is this the...
Maybe the people who got the 50 signature will carry their case to the Supreme Court and say, we had 50 signatures, we did what was right.
And we did it because we were supposed to do it in a regular chamber, but the man lied to do.
The man lied to do. The same people who
and it cost our money, it cost our power, so they had evidence.
Yeah, the evidence.
Then when the other side, we did the right thing, they had the proof. But then we didn't stop, they will call our man to come and defend himself. He said, not coming on us. We must count on him.
Do we really think, do we go to bed and think that Liberia is seriously noisy with the noise at Capitol Building?
Don't insult my country. Don't insult my country.
When Jula Melema stand in the House of Parliament in South Africa and say, you, Mr. President, you are a rogue. You have stolen from the people of South Africa. You have to leave this power now because you cannot be our president. You are a rogue. And I must tell this to you today, that we, the people from the LFF, will not allow you to enjoy this power. And if you know what I know, plus you, Mr. Speaker of the House, that is trying to support the president and cloud our voice, our voices will not be clouded.
So meaning.
Simply put, there is no noise that is not noise in democracy.
Yeah.
This actually makes it very healthy, but we with the kind of attitude you are talking about Malema, I follow him as well. I think we'll have our own Malema here too. He's somewhere in the lower house. I won't call him name, but I think we need to find a way forward.
And that's the point I was trying to make. Okay, the point I'm trying to make. We are 73 in the House. 43 persons say we don't want this man. 30 persons says we want this man. Let's agree that the Constitution says you need 49 persons. The Constitution, law is reasoning. So we must reason that the Freemans thought you will need 2/3 majority to remove somebody. So let's assume we did not get the 2/3 majority, but we got 43 persons. For the common good of the country, the citizens, and what have you, it's only good to acknowledge that the vast majority of your colleagues say that they will not deal with you again. So let's accept the law. The law says, hey, we are mandating you to go there. If you go there and the 43 persons does not want to work with you, where does that put our country? But if you say you want the rule of law, then let's go back to the genesis of the problem. The problem here is the law says when you are not in town, the deputy speaker should do everything that is assigned to you.
And he did.
And he did. So then where is the rule of law that if you're not in town, your deputy carry out the function, then you come by and say you had to be present? Then that's not the rule of law, because the law says when you're not in town, your deputy should do, and your deputy did.
Digifago, is there a room for reconciliation?
But we keep answering this for you.
Yeah,
We are answering it all the
I'm
time.
talking about between the two folks, you know, the two.
But there's no crisis. Excuse me, hold on. Look, politics is always a marriage of convenience. Strange bedfellows. You fight today, then for a common cause, you partner tomorrow.
Yeah.
So no matter how it is, look at the bitter campaign that took place in Ghana recently. Fortunately for me, I have met and I know former President Akufo-Addo. Fortunately for me, I know President
John
Mahama. Both of them on Easter were sitting there in the chair, laughing and having fun, shaking hands, parlaying, walking around. They celebrated Easter together. But just a few months down the line, every junction box that could be put to make John Mahama fall down and break a leg, Akufo-Addo was putting in place. That makes them enemies.
It's like a game.
Look, let me not lie to you. That's why you see, anytime politicians are fighting the battle, you see their followers killing themselves, I can just shake my head and say, Father, thank you. For those who will die, they will save food for those who are alive. But we'll try to educate everyone so you know that there's no reason to waste your blood for no politician. To be honest with you, there is peace everywhere as long as they are ready to sit down and be matured about it and not think that it's a do or die affair. That's
All
the
right.
simple truth.
So we can take a few calls now from the public.
Let's
And before you take your call, let me state this for the record. I strongly, as a Liberian citizen, condemn the action today perpetrated by Honorable Yeke Koluba. There's no need for vandalism. We had arson. You saw our capital burn. And the Supreme Court has already ruled, in my opinion, in your favor. You should be celebrating rather than vandalizing and creating chaos. And so I strongly condemn this action. And I stand ready to defend my statement against this action in the face of any criticism that comes from anywhere. I dare anybody to tell me that what Yeke did today.
What did he do?
Or he went to the Capitol, ripping down whatever he could rip down, speak up poetry or what this, and scattering everything and trying to break through doors, and that was totally.
Yeah, I follow that. But and they are also asking that the current speaker Richard Nangwe-Kun turns over the office until
But you heard what Richard Kun said. So let's go to the line because I think he said some people here from the Capitol won't talk.
Yeah, but our people was there.
They will get some money today.
The poor back come here. The poor back come here.
They must pay.
No, they back come here now.
Now, from the way they're talking money bidding now, then they got to. Yeah.
I'll be collecting and do. You
All right,
Collect.
we're having a wonderful time here on the national debate. A minute to Apollo. Let's see what the time and don't stay away from your monitor.
Let's hear this person. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, I'm Joseph, and let me say how the studio again. I bought some angels.
Okay, Chief. Before you can start, we will try as much as possible to be very civil in your disagreement. We can disagree to agree. You are very free to disagree, but you have to be very civil, respectful as well.
And be to the point. Let's 45 seconds.
No, I'm not.
Go ahead.
To open to everybody.
I want to disagree with you on the issue of the budget about who signs it or not. And this is my reliance. At the time, Mr. Kun was not a speaker when he was President Bola over this. We ran this country without a signed budget, but we ran the country on 1+ of the budget. So, with the budget being pertinence to the running of the country, it doesn't matter whether Kofa comes to be speaker or Richard Kun, the country will have been held in hostage. Where there is nobody to sign the budget, we have to run again on 1+.
All right, thank you. Yo. Thank you. Hello.
But the budget is running on and I want to it.
Go ahead quickly.
Well, passed at the legislature. I think the Supreme Court has just worsened it. Right now we have legitimacy and that of quorum. And mind you, you can have the legitimacy, but if you don't have the number, because democracy is about number, about the majority. So I want to see after the break who Speaker Kofa will preside over, because if he's not meeting the quorum, that means he will not be able to do business. And at the end of the day, the whole country will be stuck. So he must find reason. I mean, it happened in the case of Ernest Snow and other speakers, and he resigned. Saying he fought the case, and he made a history that the rule of law was in his favor. But his colleagues are saying that they can't sit under the gavel because he lost the confidence. He should see reason, find reason for the sake of the country. Then he resign.
Okay,
All right, thank you. Have a good day. Have a good day.
Call, a minute to a caller, please.
Madeline.
The time.
Yeah.
Hello.
Minute 2 more, son.
Hello.
Yes, so it's good to have you on.
Thank you very much. I'm Pember Julie calling from Maryland County.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your good discussion. And while I'm listening to it look like the two generals in the junior house there, they are local heads.
So
the two generals, they are local heads. The one that is sitting as speaker, that is Richard Namakun. He's saying that he will not accept the ruling of the Supreme Court.
Okay.
So, now Francis Kofa want to take place. He want to implement the function. So the best thing we need to do, we need to handle the two men like Ojuku and Gowan of Nigeria.
All right. Thanks for placing your call. Let me take this call up from Washington, D.C. Hello.
Hello. I'm calling from Maryland, USA. My name is Kev Hassan.
Okay.
I'm kind of disappointed listening to my older brother there, Fagon.
Is it the Kev Hassan that we know?
Yes, this is the Kev Hassan, yes.
Okay.
I'm really disappointed that what I'm hearing from my older brother, Fagon. Fagon knows the Constitution at his fingertips. He knows due process is a key. And you know, for him to say for the 3, and you should give it, the Constitution says 49. Without 49, you cannot break the law. So what I'm hearing from my older brother, they break the law because for the 3. And the Supreme Court judge, Chief Justice, is saying that so if 3 of us, or 3 people in the bench, just go somewhere and say we don't want the Chief Justice. That's the way it should be. Or let's say majority of the people get up and they applaud the street and say we don't want the president. No, it can't be due process. What kind of Liberian we will have without due process? So that means you can arrest anybody, throw them in jail without due process. If I don't know exactly what the Constitution says, because he knows the Constitution, he taught me the Constitution.
Okay.
Yeah, so
can you ask him that when they call you to due process and you refuse?
Kev, hello. Just hold it a bit so the both of you can have a conversation.
Not a conversation. Time is fast spent. But here is the question I need you to ask him. What if you are invited for due process and you refuse to go, as in the case that we saw, heard, and know about in the case that is unfolding, where Fonati was invited multiple times by the same group, and he refused to show up? Then can he speak to that?
First of all, Fonati was not invited for due process because they left the actual chamber and went to a sub-chamber. And you listen to what is the Supreme Court and Justice said. You cannot leave the chamber and have a sub-chamber.
Well, you can start the people's work.
If they want to do it, they should go there, put resolution on the floor. Fonati will recuse himself.
Okay, so what happened when your friends, Marvin Cole and others, locked the doors to the chamber? No, speak to that, because we saw it, you know it. They locked the door and they prevented the other people from entering. Speak to that. What did the Supreme Court say about that? Was that legal or illegal?
Are you aware of Marvin Coast shutting the Capitol or the doors to the chambers? Are you aware of that?
If Marvin Coast shut down, they actually open it again. So what Thomas Polanco has done and the rest of the guys then go in there.
Let's move on.
Can we go
All
on?
right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks
We
for
will not have
placing
you
your-
back
but
and forth.
we have David Coty on the line.
Good afternoon.
Hold on, please.
And I joined the conversation with district number 6. You know, like people is so interesting to see Eugene Pacon sitting people and cutting Tafata.
Cut a man off. We're civilized people here.
Hello.
No, cut him off.
Yeah.
Hello.
Who's that?
Yeah. Okay.
You can't tell people
Yes,
they
go
talk in
ahead.
Tabata.
Hello.
Okay, so let me get this man on.
Yeah, Derek Coty,
Yeah.
you on the line.
So
Thank you very much. I'll be very brief, but let me confess first. I've been friends with Onanuga. Onanuga for more than 15 years, and I just got a correct spelling. Pronunciation of his name. Let me tell you something. This thing is very simple. When a woman says she want you, she want you. You go up, you count down, she want you. Even though you all say on that day until death do us part, but after the first of 2 years, she said she want you, she want you. I have been in her house before. When that majority said they will not work with you, even the ECOWAS court, the court in the head can run down any decision to waste their time. Those people in the majority will never work with Kofa. No amount of traffic anywhere. They will never work with you. I don't care what to do. The only thing that can get me so angry, I said it on OK FM this morning. The only thing that can get me angry when I hear certain people talking about following the rule of law. You were there. The case was Justice
Kabina Janet.
man would remove man because
Kabina Jane.
Justice Janet.
When the thing happened in the case of Kabina Janet, even the ECOWAS court told us people to pay the man or reinstate it. They refused to do so. Then I hear the former president every time they got me so angry. So I have to express myself, okay, this morning. Where is he coming from today to talk about rule of law? Well, you gotta know that. Even the issue with Isaac Jackson, you all refuse. Then you want to tell the ex-president what to do? Rule of law, rule my foot. No. The best thing this guy can do, Copa, is to follow what Snow and his friend, the other speaker.
Carlo.
My brother, they will never work with you. Also, you can go up and come down. The Supreme Court can say one more ruling, it will never work. They will not work with you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks for placing your call, Bessie.
I like that. Thank you for your comment. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. DG Fagon is right here. Christopher, his Onanuga. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, the DG said from the SKF ensemble, a central argument. So, first of all, what we should know, if 50% sign the resolution, removal is not automatic. If you get a signature, fine for you. Call the man, he is streamer now, and try it. So yeah, Chris talking about the body man, and he refused. No, I cannot be in your house. I was leaving. You leave the house, go out of the house, and invite me to where you went to. Then you say, I'm gonna go there. You're not saying anything.
All right.
Okay.
But it was your people who locked the man also. The man went in the chamber and said, let's go in the chamber as deputy speaker. Your followers then went there and locked the door. No, Chief, let's be honest. I respected your position. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. But the people went into the legitimate legal chamber with the deputy speaker. And by law, it says the deputy speaker can preside in the absence of the speaker. So when they went to the door and opened it, Kofa people lock the door. I'm just saying, you know.
We're not going back and forth with these arguments, Chief. Chief,
Let's announce the numbers again: 0775-046-681 to participate on the show. Nothing. Let it know start.
Yeah, go ahead.
080-514-096 are the numbers to call to form part of the conversation. 1 minute to a quarter, and will remain civil on this platform. Hello.
Yeah, this is Trocon calling from Central City, Rochester County.
Yes, sir. It's good to have you on.
What do Liberian mean? This is a country of law and not of man.
Yes, sir.
The Hurambi Kufa speaker was not legitimately removed, and the Supreme Court is asking for them to go and redo it. And we didn't take them any time to remove it if they call him before a vote and then they are firing him. I don't see the logic in that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I like your way you're lady.
Yeah. So that means
Hello?
as we're regrouping.
Yes, sir. It's good to have you on quickly.
Yeah, my darling, good evening and good evening to the DG and to the other guys in the studio. And also, my darling, I follow you to FBS, so you know I won't offend anywhere you go, I will go there.
Okay, we'll move.
Let me go to the issue, and I think the Supreme Court was in error. I think what the ruling that they did yesterday, it was not significant to us as Liberian people, more especially this should have been done previously and go through the family of the ruling before coming up with a clear cut of everything that the Supreme Court did. The Supreme Court was in error, but not really looking at the case of the majority. Those evidence were presented in court. They invited the former speaker to attend and to submit himself on an investigation. He refuses. In fact, the Canada Sherman presented this evidence in court. So, like, I want to agree with the panelists in studio that most of the things that was not done correctly by the Supreme Court. So, if they file a bill of information, some people should have looked in detail.
Okay.
They not go in detail. So,
all
this
right.
is what causes this problem. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for placing your call. Let me take Noah Zawu Gatesin. Chief, how you doing? It's good to have you on.
Let me say good evening to the DG of all DGs in the history of LPS and Council Principal Hills, Onanunga. Look, I think you guys are being a bit diplomatic. What is not right is not right. The Supreme Court is the only Supreme Court I know that have two rulings in the scope of 1 year in the world. Okay, your ruling yesterday said the current speaker is illegal. But the budget that pays you, the budget that you are operating for that pays even your judges, was signed by the speaker. So if they're claiming that the rule of law is the law in the interest of the law, are they willing to return all those benefits? Are they willing? If they are willing to return all the money that they have received, and be operating with, because they too have been, in fact, they have been agitated for the illegality. So they have got no moral ground to say what they said, only to put the country in chaos. That's what they did. And I can assure you, one thing I know, they will rule executive will have choice to impose. We are on course. This is not taking off anywhere. The fact of the matter is, the majority bloc represents the Liberian people, and I think they will do the Liberian people business. We're not coming out here and can't waste our time on issues here that will not be part of the Liberian people. So, only the executive will look at when it comes to the rule of law.
Okay.
On the judiciary blunder, you don't know that. They also told the question when it comes to the rule of law, you don't know that.
Okay.
You're really receiving money you're being paid for almost 6 months. For the same speaker that you say he's not legitimate. But you're not waiting to return that money. Thank you, man.
Many will also have to undo the elections that was held okay. Okay, thanks for placing your call. Okay, yeah, hello.
How are you?
Yes, sir, it's good to have you on.
Somebody pays on 540 Common Camp.
Yes, sir.
You know, let us say the truth. Let everybody listen to the Supreme Court. But when people do the thing like they say, oh, but I just go to call him, he never came there, whatsoever, then everybody is bad about the rules and regulations of this country. No matter how, whatsoever you are, whosoever you are, let us listen to the Supreme Court. If we try to just respect the Supreme Court, anything happen in the country here, we will suffer. We don't want that kind of thing to happen. Nobody should go position what is the Constitution. The law position, and they're not doing it the right way. They are doing it illegally, and we're sitting there, we're backing there because we are empowered today.
Okay.
Stop this thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for placing your call. We'll take a few more calls and go back to our guests. Hello?
Yeah, good afternoon, Mallory.
Yes, sir, it's good to have you on.
Alright, my name is Alfred Gray, Commander One Left, and I call you from Great Township Electoral District now in Liberian.
Yes, sir.
One is true that we are the respect the Supreme Court. There are certain contradictions for me I'm looking at in the yesterday ruling. I think the Supreme Court should have done was to come out with the ruling early before the budget should pass. Because if you look at the Supreme Court ruling, there's the same people that they are doing transaction with before they can come out with the ruling. So I don't know whether they will go back to Stadaco or all the other transactions.
Stadaco and the transaction.
To start everything or to read for, I don't know. So there's a little contradiction we can't do yesterday, but I think the some people have to be respected. And equally so, the two gentlemen or the two honorable need to understand that the country is for everybody's interest. So I think they can put their diversity out.
Okay. All right. So, Melvin, I do have to go back to our guest.
Yes,
and take a few more calls after.
No, I don't think we can take, because these people are dignitaries. We don't have to really keep them here for long.
Yeah, we would like to go right now. I mean, there's GB sauce out there.
We have to go ahead and celebrate.
They have a good, I mean, so we will give. Remember, we are the custodians of this show, so you don't want to tell us how many minutes you want to offer you. So we gave you the Director General of the Liberian Broadcasting System 3 minutes.
You can take my own 4 minutes.
Okay, 3 minutes.
Are you one of my ministers? Are you one of my ministers?
Before you people commence, did people grow up together? Because I see the kind of laughter.
Beyond reasonable doubt, you may never understand. Case closed.
All right. We start with Christopher Hayes Onanuga.
But because you gotta start with.
I want for you.
I can start already. You
You're not wearing red shoes or go. You must not come in wearing red shoes. You can't go to Supreme Court.
You are guests here.
No. We are guests here.
Yeah, but you have.
Just look at the flyer.
All right.
So let me do my closing.
Okay, no problem, Chief. No problem.
I said and I will say again. I see nothing that the Supreme Court said yesterday that the Supreme Court could not have said on December 6th. 6 months from October, this thing started till now, 6 months. Everything that was basically said should have been said 6 months ago. And by now, the country would have been sailing high and wide. But here we are today, looking at rules that seem to contradict the ruling of the court. For example, the court ruling said in the past that there was no mechanism to compel the others. We look at the rules of the House. It says there is a mechanism, and the mechanism is what? Only a motion can compel the people. That's the only mechanism you can use to compel the people. ONLY is spelled only.
12.1A.
Thank you. The second thing the Supreme Court said, when it spoke about Article 33, what constitutes a quorum? You need 37 persons. The people had 43. Way over the threshold. So here is my thing. You said the people did not have this meeting in the chamber. Well, at the end of the day, show me the law that says it should be in the chamber.
Or on the Capitol.
Or that it should be in the right flank or the left flank of the Capitol. What I know the Constitution says is that no matter what they say, however they say it, whatever, they cannot be arrested. So what about the sitting of the both houses in the what? Same city. Does it have to be in the chamber? The other thing is, Fonati Kofa is an individual. I think in the ruling, the court should have said the speaker, and then put in parentheses Fonati Kofa for the future. Because Fonati Kofa will not forever remain speaker. There will be a speaker, and this ruling will set precedents for tomorrow. Of course, I know it's not going to set. But if you say the fact that they did not go into the chamber, then you must take into consideration what prevented them from going into the chamber is the action of the petitioners. The people who petitioned the court were the ones who prevented their colleagues from entering that chamber. Another issue to take into consideration is the fact that we are a country. And if at all you say that Fonati Kofa is the legitimate speaker, you are saying that everything that we did for the past 6 months was illegal.
Like Mo Ali said it this morning.
Was illegal.
The head of the managing director.
And so can we say that the court
the Liberian Water and Sewer Corporation
was complicit, was a co-conspirator, or was a collaborator, or something in an illegal activity that took place over the last 6 months? Now, the same group came up to say, listen, it must be 49 persons to remove a speaker. Okay, let's agree that the framers were clear that you need 49 persons to remove a speaker. If law is reasoning and the majority that represents the people says, we don't want this man, where do we uphold the principle and constitutionality of Article 1 that says all power is inherent in the people?
DG, we don't need 3 minutes, you gone already.
There's so many questions. Give me my last 30 seconds.
Jesus.
In the interest of the state, in my opinion and my thoughts, the Supreme Court said nothing that they could not have said 6 months ago. And I believe, as a citizen of this country, that the Supreme Court ruling yesterday only worsened, exacerbated, compounded the problems of the legislature. So in 10 seconds, let me tell you, if now we conclude that the legislature makes the law, the judiciary interprets the law, the executive enforces the law, they say Fonati is the speaker, right? He goes there and says, I am the speaker. And the 43 person says, you are not. And we will not deal with you. I leave you, the journalists, broadcast personalities, with this question. Where will we be as a country? And that is why law is reasoning.
Thank you. Thank you, DG Yuji Lamin Fagan. Let's hear quickly from
the Honorable Ambassador Christopher Hayes Onanuga.
I'll tell you this. The government of Liberia have recognized the ruling of the Supreme Court.
Okay.
The government of Liberia have entreated both parties to have resolution on the matter.
Exactly.
So that the country moves forward in unity of purpose. The government of Liberia have no reason through the executive to inflame the present situation that could be better off. We are only better as a people when we are all united in peace. On this note, I know the thoughts, reasoning, and vision of President Joseph Boakai at this moment. He is saying to himself, I wish they can all rise above the board and be matured men and matured women for my grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. and a way forward for all girl child or boy child who have the understanding that this country belongs to us, but is being controlled by a bunch of leaders today, and tomorrow we will be in charge. It's also saying to us that he's praying that the wisdom that is given by God will be bestowed either physically, mentally, spiritually upon these people with their confusion. That no matter the condition, arrogance will disappear, humility and selflessness will set in for the good of Liberia. Unfortunately, if it doesn't go that way, better still, people's power is greater than all else. Have a nice day on a nice Thursday.
Yes.
And thank you for hosting us in this beautiful season.
Yes. Thank you so much, DG, the Director General of the Liberia Broadcasting System, Eugene Lamin Fagon, and that of our Ambassador.
Ambassador Alan?
Yeah.
Presidential Special Envoy on Tourism,
Okay.
Ambassador
Christopher
Hayes.
It was good having you both in studio today to talk about the ruling from the Supreme Court of Liberia. And we hope that we can have another time to talk about this, because